It's December 21st, 2011, and Dawna Natzke is at a Christmas party in Hot Springs Village in central Arkansas.
It's a gated community. It's basically like living in a forest. Dawna Natzke was there with her boyfriend, Kevin Duck, and her mother, Doris Smith, and her good friend, Patty Hathaway.
The couple are at the party, and Patty noticed them leave. He's pushing her towards the door in an abrupt manner, and she's very concerned.
When they exit the party abruptly, without saying goodbye to anyone, concern grows.
And so there was a party there that night, and something happened.
None of the partygoers could imagine that this would be the last time they would see Dawna Natzke alive. On the evening of December 21st, 2011, Dawna Natzke, a dispatcher in the local police department, is a guest at a house party in Hot Springs Village, Arkansas.
It's about 45 minutes, 50 minutes west of Little Rock. It's very wooded, rural, hilly. Hot Springs is the famous national park where Al Capone and Babe Ruth and many others used to hang out. Hot Springs Village is about 20 minutes away. It's a gated community. It is, I'm told, the largest in terms of acreage, the largest retirement community in the United States. It's basically like living in a forest.
Scott Randall is the general manager of the Property Owners Association, and the party is both a Christmas party and a housewarming party for the Randall's rental property.
They had a Christmas party there, and several people were invited that worked for the POA, which would include the police department. And so Dawna Natzke was there with her boyfriend, Kevin Duck, and her mother, Doris Smith, and her good friend, Patty Hathaway.
People that know each other can tell when someone's out of sorts. And it's important to ask in an investigation, what were they doing? What were they acting like? And in this particular circumstance, they were not having a good time. There was something tense going on between the two of them, which everyone noticed at the party.
Patty especially notices it. She's known Dawna for 13 years.
Patty and Dawna go to the washroom to have a private conversation. And during that period, Kevin bursts the door open and comes in the bathroom, which really upsets Patty that she thinks he shouldn't be doing this.
Between 10:30 and 11 p.m., the couple leaves the party abruptly.
They leave the party without saying goodbye to anyone, and having observed their actions during the party with the bathroom incident, the fact they're not getting along, those circumstances would make a person very suspicious that something is not right with this couple.
When she leaves the Randalls' party with Kevin Duck, it's the last time Dawna Natzke was seen alive.
So she was one of, I think, 2 police dispatchers. I don't remember how long she had worked there, but people there at the police department, I remember, really liked her. What I was told was that her friend, Patty Hathaway, said that she noticed Dawna kind of being taken out of the house by her boyfriend, Kevin Duck, which seemed really odd to her because she left her purse behind. Dawna left her purse behind and her mother behind. And so that kind of raised suspicions with Patty about what's going on.
Dawna's mother, Doris, is mystified that Dawna has left without telling her. Around 1 a.m., she accepts a ride to her car from another guest at the party.
Doris's vehicle is at the Property Owner Association's building where she left it shortly after 6 p.m. to go to the party with Kevin and Dawna in their vehicle.
They went to the party together from there, with Kevin driving Dawna's station wagon.
It was very warm, seasonably very warm that night. And the woman who lived next door to where the party took place was walking home from a different Christmas party. And that house sat farther back from the house where the party took place. And as she came to her own front door, she heard sounds emanating from that other front yard. And I remember she struggled with wordage to describe what she heard. She entered the house. She thought about going over and looking around in the front yard to see what was going on, but she decided not to. So she entered her own home, and shortly after that, she heard the squealing of tires as a car taking off. And later, I guess it would be the next morning, she saw tire tracks.
Brandon, Dawna's son, wakes up in the morning and sees his mother's car parked in the driveway with the door open and the dome light on. And he thinks she's taken a day off and gone back to bed. He gets up at around 10 a.m. and sees the car is gone now and believes that she must have gone to work.
A neighbor across the cul-de-sac from the Natzke house, who is outdoors between 5:30 and 5:40 a.m., also sees it.
The neighbor takes her husband to work. She sees the car parked there at approximately 5:40 in the morning. 10 minutes later, when she takes her husband to work, the car is gone.
A village resident sees Dawna's car race through a four-way stop in the early hours of the morning.
A friend recognizes Dawna's car leaving the West Gate between 7:45 and 8 a.m. and then traveling north on Highway 7.
The security gates in Hot Springs Village, one might assume there would be security cameras as there are in most secure communities like that. However, in Hot Springs, there are no CCTV cameras.
Patty Hathaway is still troubled by her friend's hasty exit from the party the previous evening and the manner in which it occurred. She texts Dawna saying she wasn't pleased with what she had seen the night before.
At 9:47 in the morning, Patty receives a text from Dawna stating that she had fallen and he had caught her and she had to take a pain pill, he didn't push her, and that she was all tore up. Tore was spelled T-O-U-R, not properly.
The spelling mistakes, the punctuation, the choice of words, nothing about it sounds like Dawna. After she receives the strange text, Patty calls Dawna a couple of times.
Please leave a message.
But each time, no one answers.
She knows Dawna always prefers talking on the phone over texting. Patty works in a bar, and Dawna always calls her in the morning because she knows her friend doesn't like sleeping in.
Scott and Sandra Randall find Dawna's purse in her kitchen, left behind from the night before. The Randalls hang on to it, thinking that someone will come back to pick it up.
Dawna's purse was left at the Randalls' house upon her abrupt departure with Kevin. And cigarettes, her glasses, keys, mother's credit cards were all inside the purse, things that you would not normally leave behind or you would return to pick up shortly thereafter.
What could have compelled Dawna to leave so quickly that she forgot her handbag and stranded Doris?
Kevin Duck is employed at an auto repair shop in Jessieville, a small community just outside of Hot Springs Village.
So Kevin is supposed to arrive at work at 8 a.m. on Thursday morning. He does not show up till 10:10 a.m. He is over 2 hours late.
He called his boss at 8:30 to say he's looking for Dawna.
Around 11 a.m., a startling discovery is made in a remote area of Ouachita National Park.
A United States Forest Service employee discovers an older model station wagon on fire. It's on Main Hall Road, which isn't far from Jessieville.
The police are notified that a vehicle has been found burnt to a crisp in a wooded area outside of the city, and they are now investigating this to determine what happened to this vehicle and whose vehicle is it.
That car was burnt to a crisp, so I mean, there was some heat there.
At 6:15 p.m., Kevin walks into the police station where Dawna works and tells the dispatcher that she's missing.
Because Dawna works at the local police department as a dispatcher, when she doesn't show up, there's an obvious concern, so the friends and staff start calling hospitals, other areas to see if she can be found. It's a natural thing to do for a coworker in a situation like that.
Over the next 12 hours, the Hot Springs Village Police Department dispatch continues to call Dawna's cell phone.
Please leave a message.
But it goes to voicemail every time. Kevin tells a sergeant at the station that he and Dawna left the party the previous evening at 10 p.m. and then drove back to her house.
Kevin's story at this time is that they went home, went to bed. She must have went back to the party because he wakes up and finds her and the vehicle both gone.
With Dawna's whereabouts unknown for the past 24 hours, her 3 sons are worried. All efforts by family and friends to contact her have failed. On the evening of Wednesday, December 21st, 2011, Hot Springs Village Police dispatcher Dawna Natzke and her boyfriend Kevin Duck attend a Christmas party.
Around 11 p.m., obviously things are strained between the couple, and they are seen leaving the party in a state of confusion or anger between the two of them.
Kevin is seen pushing Dawna out the door.
So a neighbor who's returning from another Christmas party hears a sound which she can't really identify, but she describes it as anguished or strange. And just shortly after that, she sees the car, Dawna and Kevin's car, leave through the gate.
She hears the screech of tires as a car speeds away, and then the next morning she finds the tire marks on the road.
At 11 a.m., 12 hours after Dawna and Kevin left the party at the Randalls, a U.S. Forestry Service employee comes across a burning car in a remote area in Washita Forest.
So in a situation like this where a car is burnt badly, it has to be moved by a flatbed truck or taken in a secure manner, and they take it to the Arkansas Crime Lab for further investigation.
The burned out remnants of her car were found a few miles away out in the forest. And that vehicle was loaded onto a flatbed and hauled into, as far as I know, to the Hot Springs Village Police Department and later inspected by state authorities, as best I remember. So they had picked up that car, and I drove out there with someone, again, because it was out in the boonies. And, the car was gone at that point. But there were remnants there was a little chunk of rubber tire there, like the cords from the steel belt it was incinerated. And I remember being surprised because it was in the forest, and there was a canopy of trees and all that, and I was really surprised that nothing else caught fire, because that car was burnt to a crisp. So, there was some heat there.
So when she doesn't show up for work that day, Dawna's late, they don't know why. Her son Ronnie decides to go to the police department and file a missing persons complaint.
Although Kevin Duck was the first to report Dawna missing the day before, he couldn't officially file the missing persons report because he wasn't related to her.
Dawna welcomed the attention Kevin lavished on her after her husband of 20 years surprised her with divorce papers. At 28, Kevin is 18 years younger than her and also has a marriage behind him.
He also has a history of domestic violence. He was convicted in April of 2009 of felony domestic assault in Bismarck, Arkansas.
But Kevin is overly possessive. One day, Dawna comes home from work to find that he has moved into her house, uninvited.
Dawna is considerably older than Kevin. She's tired of him, wants to part. So He doesn't want this to happen. He's now lavishing gifts on her. One of them is the small green station wagon.
There's something about Kevin that makes her family members uneasy, and they wish she would break things off with him, but it's impossible to know what a relationship is like from the inside.
When Dawna doesn't arrive for her scheduled shift on Friday, December 23rd, a missing persons case is opened, as well as an investigation into her disappearance.
Hot Springs Police Department contact the AT&T Law Enforcement Exigent Circumstances Unit, which is a unit that will help with missing person kidnapping cases of public interest, where they will file a report and get the cell phone data for towers, pings, whatever they need. And it's a public service that they provide to the police departments for that.
That night, Kevin shows up at the house of an old friend, asking to come in. He says he can't go back to Dawna's.
During that night, Kevin had left several messages on a friend's phone that he and Dawna had broken up. This is what they were able to determine through the search of his phone records. So Kevin asks this woman to go to a hotel with him, and she turns him away and does not go.
The following day, Saturday, December 24th, investigators reveal that the car found in the forest is Dawna Natzke's. An intensive search gets underway, employing dogs, a helicopter, and police on horseback in the remote area of Washita National Forest, where the car was found.
A call goes out on Facebook for volunteers to participate in a search on December 31st out of Jesseville.
Kevin seems to show a lack of interest in Dawna's disappearance, according to his boss at the auto repair shop.
There is a massive search going on for Dawna's body. They can't find her. They suspect the worst, so there's a search going on in the surrounding area. Kevin has gone to work every day, not taken a day off except Christmas Day, which is very suspicious to a police officer.
Hot Springs Valley resident Jeff Meek was away at the time of Dawna's disappearance, but came home in time to learn about the search.
My wife and I were back in Illinois seeing some friends, and we came back after driving several hours and decided we were going to go out to a little local restaurant there at one of the golf courses. And so we walked in, and on the television screen there's a report about a missing police dispatcher, Dawna Natzke, from Hot Springs Village. So we'd been out of town several days. I didn't know anything about it, and there was one of the waitresses was standing there, and I ended up standing next to her, and we're looking at the television. During that report, they were interviewing Dawna's very good friend, Patty Hathaway. So the report concludes, and the lady standing next to me said, "I can't believe the newspaper isn't doing anything about this." And she didn't know me, I didn't know her, and I pulled out a business card and I handed it to her, and I said, "I can't either." And so we talked for a little bit, and I said, "Do you happen to know Patty Hathaway, who was just on the television screen?" And she took out her cell phone and she tapped it a few times and handed me the phone. So I right then and there spoke with Patty Hathaway, and we set up a time to meet the next morning down at the newspaper office, and she told me, about the party, and that she got a text the next day apparently from Dawna, but something seemed weird with it, and that she was helping to organize a search on December 31st, based out of Jesseville, the little town just outside of the village. So I got there, and it was well organized. There were several tables set out with grid maps on these tables. And let me tell you, the community really showed up for Dawna. I mean, there were, as you would expect, cars, SUVs, but four-wheelers, horses, and over 400 people are in this gym to get instructions from a couple of retired search and rescue folks.
One of the searchers is very familiar with the area.
Born and raised there, knew the woods like the back of his hand, hunter, fisherman, and saw a trail that just something about it looked unusual. But he didn't think much about it, so he joined the rest of the crew, and they were looking around, and he just couldn't get that trail off his mind. And so he went back to that trail because it seemed unusual to him, and he followed it down to that pond. And he told me that as he got to the edge of the pond, he said, this really strange feeling. I got this really strange feeling. And I looked down, and I was standing in hair. And so he backed out. I called 911. I remember that he told me that the police asked him that question, like, you came here right away. Why is that? You know, and which made the searcher kind of feel like a suspect, which at first bothered him, but you know, he said to me, he says, I realize the police have to ask questions.
Jeff Meek remained at the gym while the search took place, and he met Luther Duck there.
The father of Dawna's boyfriend. He was not complimentary of his son at that time. And so we're standing there talking, and there's a couple other people nearby, and suddenly there's a gasp back behind me. And it's the ladies at these tables with the maps that they had handed out. And they had received word that they found her. I mean, they found her that quick. Someone said that they had found her by a pond. And Mr. Duck leaned into me and he said, I told the police to search that pond days ago. And I said, Hot Springs Village Police? And he said, yes.
Kevin's dad, Luther Duck, is very familiar with the pond on his property. It's about a mile from his house, and he used to take Kevin there as a young boy. And he's talking to the police authorities about areas that should be searched if they were looking for a body in that area, and this pond is one of those locations.
The discovery is made just an hour after the search began. It's only 5.5 miles from where the charred wreckage of Dawna's vehicle is found.
Jeff interviews Lieutenant Clark of the Hot Springs Village Police the following day.
I asked if it's true that the HSVPD were told to search the pond area 5 or 6 days before the search turned up the body. Clark said yes. We had searched that area before, but not as thoroughly. They did not have near the manpower as the search had done on that Saturday, and the area is thick with cattails and brush, which it was.
When a body's left in a wilderness area for an extended period of time, even 10 days, it's entirely plausible that animals could partially destroy it or carry parts of it off.
Body of Dawna is found in that pond at 9:30 a.m. and the police have to now go and tell the sad news to her mother that she has been located and is deceased and a victim of a homicide.
Dawna's 3 sisters and her mother are there. They're told that a body has been found in the wilderness, but it's not yet confirmed to be Dawna.
Given the circumstances, the family is probably quite aware that they're going to have to identify their daughter in this case. There's only one missing person in the area at the time. They've been found on a property associated to the Duck name, which is coincidental. So I think they have a pretty good idea that this is Dawna.
It's the 21st of December, 2011. A Christmas party is underway at the home of friends. 46-year-old Dawna Natzke, a dispatcher in the Hot Springs Village Police Department, is last seen with her boyfriend leaving the party.
When she doesn't show up for work the following day, a missing persons report is filed and the search for Dawna begins.
Dawna's car is found burning in a remote area in a forested region near where her body is found.
Then, the remains are taken to the Arkansas State Crime Lab medical examiner's office for identification and autopsy.
Police suspect foul play. They have to obviously wait for the medical examiner to confirm the actual cause of death, but they know. You can tell by looking at the body and the circumstances what's happened. But they know it's foul play, and they're going to have to launch an investigation, and they don't have a suspect at this point in time.
However, they do have a person of interest. Kevin Duck was the last person to see her alive.
Identification is made through comparison of fingerprints with known fingerprints already on file.
Dawna's body is covered in deep bruises.
The victim's lungs are found to contain pond water. This would indicate that the victim was still alive at the time she was placed in the pond.
The searchers are shaken by the horrific scene they discover. But Dawna didn't die from drowning alone. The autopsy reveals her brain suffered a subdural hemorrhage from a life-threatening blow to the head. The cause of death is blunt force trauma and drowning. The manner of death is homicide.
The victim's blood alcohol level is 0.07%, so the alcohol had not yet been eliminated from her system, leading to the coroner's conclusion that her death occurred no more than 5 or 6 hours after she'd consumed it.
They find DNA under Dawna's fingernails. One sample comes back as hers. The other sample has eroded to the point where it's not usable. The question we always have as police officers when water is involved, what does DNA and water do? Well, for 72 hours, nothing, unless there's contaminants in the water, and a process called deanimation will occur, which could break down the sequence of the DNA.
Normally, any skin cells found under a victim's fingernails can be quite useful in identifying the perpetrator. However, in this instance, the body had been submerged for much longer than 72 hours, which is usually the limit on finding useful DNA that hasn't been degraded by its exposure to water.
How much DNA was actually under that fingernail? The sample is the key. Somehow it got under her skin, or she was grabbing at her own wounds and blood got underneath there. And she grabbed this other person and her hand was in the water. Now, if the 72 hours goes by and there's contaminants, that will break that DNA down. Chlorine's the word. Chlorine will break DNA down very quickly. But usually you've got a 72-hour window where the DNA will come back. This obviously had a water erosion issue to it, whether they'll prove it or not, but that's what happens. But that's why whenever you find a body you take the DNA regardless. It's a relatively new science. It's only 30 years old. So you want to look at the DNA in every case and let the experts tell you if it's a match or if it's usable.
On Tuesday, January 3rd, authorities confirmed that the body found during the weekend is Dawna Natzke.
Hot Springs Police Department advised that it is now a homicide, and they have turned the investigation over to the Garland County Police Department because that's the area where she was found.
On Saturday, January 14th, a memorial service is held for Dawna at 11 a.m. at the Village Church of Christ in Hot Springs Village. By this point, Kevin Duck has given more than one version of what happened after he and Dawna left the Randall's party.
Kevin's starting to tell the police what happened. One version of his story is that they come home, they go to bed, he wakes up at 7:30, her and her car are gone.
He's also said that after he and Dawna got home, he went to bed while Dawna drove back to the party. But he also reportedly told police that when he went to bed, Dawna was watching television. This was around 11 p.m.
So Kevin tells Doris, Dawna's mother, that she had returned to the party to get her. Well, if anyone knows that didn't happen, would be the mother, because she's still at the party till 1 a.m., and Dawna never showed up at the party to get her. So he's now conflicting in his stories and his facts of what happened.
Was eventually changed from a person of interest to a suspect.
At this point, Kevin is one of two potential suspects.
So in this particular case, the ex-husband of Dawna is suing the mother for money that was loaned from him to her. Is that sufficient to be a motive? Only time will tell. Anytime there's a relationship where there's a suspect and parents and family involved, sometimes there's things like money change hands, money get loaned. In this case, they were trying to get money back that they had been loaned to one of the parties, which could cause a motive. You have to look at all these things, whether it's real or not. You always examine what has transpired between these people that could have caused something foul to happen.
But he turns out to have a strong alibi. One of his children and his then girlfriend were with him during the time of the murder.
The Garland County Sheriff's Office submits cell phone tower and call records belonging to Kevin to William Shute at the FBI in Washington, D.C.
So in order to find out where this individual has been, you can use triangulation, you can use all of these tools that an expert like the FBI would be able to place that phone during the time of events that they're looking at. He could say he made a call from here, he texted from here, this was the subject of the text, and so on and so on. So you're able to get a graphic of where that phone was moving during the course of these events.
Evidence was gathered by police from the site at the pond, including some cloth from a section of barbed wire fence. But it can't be matched in any way to Duck's clothing. But when the bra found at the pond is tested for DNA, it yields an interesting and troubling result.
It tests positive for Dawna's DNA, but not for Kevin Duck or Todd Natzke.
So they investigate the articles of clothing which were strewn around the pond. And on the bra, they found 2 DNA types. One obviously was Dawna's, the second was of an unknown male.
It's not a match for Kevin Duck, nor is it a match for anyone in the National DNA Database.
Is it possible there was another man at the pond that night? Did someone help Kevin Duck murder Dawna? It's a mystery that will continue to perplex the authorities.
Police continue to interview friends and co-workers of Dawna and Kevin when a surprise witness comes forward. Kevin's ex-wife tells police how he had once brutalized her.
Duck's ex comes forward and relates to the police a story where she had been brutalized by Kevin Duck, taken to a remote spot in the bush and left there. Fortunately, she lived, but now this draws a whole new reason to suspect Duck. It starts to look like a very similar set of circumstances, except in the case of Dawna, it didn't work out that good for her.
But the biggest advance in Dawna's murder investigation is yet to come.
Information yielded by the FBI's triangulation analysis of Kevin's cell phone activity boosts the investigation to a new level.
On the morning after her disappearance, Duck's phone makes calls from Highway 7, the corner of Highway 7 and Highway 298, which are able to place him in the area where the car and the body was found.
His phone also made a call from the Hot Springs Village Gate area at 7:46 a.m.
The witness who saw the station wagon leave the parking lot, head north, coincides with the time that call was made from the corner of 7 and 298.
At 8:34 a.m., a call was made from his phone that originated 0.6 of a mile from the pond where Dawna's body was found.
Remember that Kevin's boss had received a call from him at 8:30 that morning saying he was going to be late for work because he was looking for Dawna.
At 9:21 a.m., Kevin's phone receives a call that indicates he's back at the Hot Spring Village Gate area. On the 25th of November, 2013, a warrant is issued for Kevin Duck's arrest, charging him with first-degree murder in the death of Dawna Natzke. But Kevin Duck has left the state. In the early morning hours of Thursday, December 22nd in 2011, a small teal-green station wagon is torched in a remote wooded area not far from Jessieville, Arkansas. Trouble had begun earlier in the evening when Dawna Natzke, a Hot Springs Village police dispatcher, abruptly left a Christmas party with her boyfriend without explanation.
So a neighbor hears an anguished noise, which she describes as an animal. At the time, just before the car leaves the driveway and heads out of the gates. The neighbor doesn't check into it. It's late at night, she's afraid, but because the car had made squealing tire noises upon departure, she did the next morning check and see the black marks on the road.
Dawna Natzke's naked, beaten, and bruised body is found in pieces in a shallow pond in the woods, 10 days after she was last seen alive. She had been put in the pond before she was dead. On the 25th of November 2013, Kevin Duck is charged in Garland County, Arkansas, with first-degree murder in the death of Dawna Natzke.
Kevin is no longer in Arkansas when the affidavit is issued. A detective in the Garland County Sheriff's Office gets a tip that he's somewhere near Burlington, Colorado.
Based on the evidence that they've gathered, circumstantial and other, they issue a warrant for Kevin's arrest. He's arrested in Colorado and extradited back to Arkansas the next day.
On December 30th, 2 years almost to the day since the discovery of Dawna's remains in Ouachita Forest, Kevin Duck posts a $150,000 bond and is freed.
He is pleading not guilty.
The prosecution will base its case on cell phone records that, according to FBI research, place Kevin Duck at the site of Natzke's burned-out car, the pond, and other locations relevant to the case.
Witness testimony will form a very important part of the prosecutor's brief.
The defense builds their case around a mystery that so far no one has been able to solve. Who left the DNA on Dawna's bra that was found near the pond?
DNA samples are as only good as something to match it to, and in this particular sample that's found, it doesn't match. Anyone in the database doesn't match any of the relatives or family members, suspects, or anything. So it's basically a dead-end DNA sample.
The defense is hoping the courts will believe that they've got the wrong man, that someone else was at the pond that night and murdered Dawna.
The trial undergoes several delays. Finally, on Tuesday, the 28th of March, 2017, it begins. Garland County Deputy Prosecutor Joe Graham has close to 60 witnesses he plans to call over the 4-day trial.
With no confession, the case is totally circumstantial, although circumstantial cases can be very strong based on the science that they've used, the technology they've been able to access. They can put a pretty good picture together circumstantially of where he was, what he did, and what happened.
They're completely relying on cell phone records and witness testimony to win the case.
Testimony on the first day of the trial centers on the Christmas party Scott and Sandra Randall had at their home, the last place Dawna was seen alive.
Patty's testimony is that she was very concerned for her friend who has been pushed out the door by Kevin Duck. So concerned that it stuck in her mind that this was abnormal, and she phoned her the next day to see if she was safe and okay.
Please leave a message.
And didn't get a response. Probably started the whole process moving with that suspicion.
She testifies that she didn't believe that she was getting a reply from Dawna because of the misspelled words.
Another witness at the party saw Kevin in a corner with Dawna grasping her arm with what the witness thought was excessive.
Someone testifies about seeing Kevin leave the house with a wine glass in his hand. Sandra describes finding the stem of the broken wine glass outside her front door the next morning, as well as a splatter stain on the brick.
Sandra Randall finds the stem of a broken wine glass outside on her driveway, and she picks it up, brings it in, and puts it in the garbage. Later, the investigators come along and seize that stem, which may have evidence on it, because Kevin Duck had been seen leaving with a glass like that.
In the defense's opening statement, Kevin's lawyer, Clay Jansk, says the case comes down to a third person's DNA that was found on Dawna's bra, and that he disagrees with the portrayal painted by the prosecution of Kevin and Dawna's relationship.
There was deep bruising on her body. There was water in her lungs, which means she was put into the water while she was alive and subsequently died.
Kevin flinches when he sees the photographs in the courtroom.
There was no jewelry, rings, or any other decorations on the body, and witnesses say that she had a diamond ring on at the party. Again, this could lead to suspecting that this was a souvenir-taking issue or someone removing articles that they felt were theirs.
Several witnesses testified that Kevin's arms were severely scratched for days after the party.
Among other witnesses on Tuesday were Luther Duck, who testified about the proximity of the pond to Kevin's childhood home, and Kevin's boss at the auto repair shop in Jesseville. Among the numerous witnesses over the final 2 days of the trial are the U.S. Forest Service's employee who came across Dawna's car on fire in the woods, and the Randall's neighbor who heard the commotion outside the house the night of the party.
After just 4 hours of deliberations, the jury emerges on Friday morning just before 9:30 with their decision. Kevin Duck is found guilty of the murder of Dawna Natzke.
Kevin Duck is sentenced in April to life in prison at the age of 33. Asked by a reporter as he was being led back to jail if he had any parting words, Kevin replied, "I think y'all made a mistake."
Well, for Hot Springs Village, it was a first. There'd never been a murder inside the gates. As far as I know, that was the case then and now. And so the fact that she was a police dispatcher, I think just really the public was just glued to what happened because of the nature of, it was a murder.
The mystery in this case is the presence of the male DNA on Dawna's bra. It was never matched. However, we know from time gone by that if that stays in the databank, the CODIS databank, at some point it could show up and match to someone. But at this point, it's an unknown.
For the Natzke and Smith families, Dawna will always be remembered as a fun-loving and outgoing person with a smile that would light up a room. But there will forever be a hole in their lives after their beloved mother, sister, and daughter was taken from them on the night of December 21st, 2011.